What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte. We are taking a look today at the Pittsburgh Penguins 7-game winning streak. Things have been going well in Pittsburgh. The Penguins right now are one of the hottest teams in the NHL, currently on one of the longest winning streaks in the NHL, and they've been able to do that without some key contributors, so we're going to be going over that in today's video. So we're going to start off, apologize for the little nose scratch. All right, we have a couple injuries to talk about to start this video off. So we have four one of them is okay, to a lesser extent. Brian Boyle was out. He's got an undisclosed injury. But there's three other big ones here. Brian Rust, who has a lower body injury. That was the end of November. Evgeny Malkin, he has been out with a knee injury since the beginning of the season. We have not seen number 71 on the ice for the Penguins yet this year. And most recently, the bigger injury being Jake Guentzel, who was out at the beginning of this month. He's been out for almost 3 weeks now. So the Penguins have been doing that on a slower roster here with, Guentzel being out with an upper body injury. Now, the good news is it sounds like all four of these players are due to come back potentially before the end of the new year. So that is some good news for the Penguins out there. And they're doing this without those guys. Like I said, they're on a 7-game winning streak. And they've done that, again, in a pretty impressive fashion. So they beat the New York... Oh, God, that is not right. Okay, that was a while ago. That was November 26th. So we'll be going over that eventually. But you're looking at the top point producers. This is something I want to look at. So their top point producer, right, in 27... He has 27 points this season in 24 games. That was Jake Guentzel. He's out. He's out with injury. So who has stepped up? And it may not be the guy that you were expecting. Evan Rodriguez has been... He kind of came out of nowhere. Now, this is someone that, if you guys don't remember, was actually a piece in the Connor Sheary trade with the Buffalo Sabres. Of course he was a Buffalo Sabre because... that's how this works. You leave Buffalo, you tend to do pretty well. You go to Buffalo, you tend to not be a great player, and that's what ends up happening. So that's something I'm sure will come up with Jack Eichel in Vegas, and I'm already expecting that to happen. But Evan Rodriguez has 23 points in 30 games this season. He has been very impressive, and it sounds like now he's rounding into form. At 28 years old, he's not hit 30 yet. This is a guy that could be one of those kind of just dark horse guys that comes out of nowhere and puts together a really nice season. So impressive to see what he's done this year. He's got 10 goals, 13 assists, 23 points. Second on the team in points. That is quite impressive. And even though he's played a dozen more games than Crosby and a couple more games than Letang, he still leads the team in points at this rate with Guentzel out. Letang is also up there. Crosby's up there. Jeff Carter, Kapanen, Denton Heining also putting together a pretty good season. He's got 14 points in 30 games. Brock McGinn, he has a dozen points. Teddy Bluger. Some of these guys that you were thinking, are they going to do anything this year? They have come in and done very, very well for the Penguins. So, again, despite losing some key guys to the roster, the Penguins have been able to fight some of those things that have not gone their way and just found a way to get it done in any way possible. So, with that said, you got to look at some of their other key stats, and this was something that I thought was interesting. So, you look at their record, right? 17-8-5, 39 points. They're fourth in the Metropolitan Division, currently behind Carolina, the New York Rangers, and obviously the Washington Capitals. So, there's still a lot of treading ahead here for the Penguins because, again, they are in a very, very difficult division. But you look at some of their goals for and goals against stats. This is interesting. So their goals for this season, 12th best in the NHL at 91 goals this season. Their goals against, this is something we have not seen in recent history with the Penguins because of what has sort of been a little bit of a... once Matt Murray and Fleury left, there was a little bit of a void when Tristan Jarry came in. He wasn't able to fully take over the reins that well once Murray left. So there were some questions about their defensive unit not really being as good. Obviously, the Mike Matheson situation, Dumoulin being injured a lot, Letang getting older. But yet, with all of that, they currently have the fourth best goals against average in the NHL, the fourth lowest in that category. Only 76 goals given up this season, which is actually pretty impressive from where they've been over the last 2 or 3 years. A lot of goalie adversity, a lot of really defensive deficiencies, and all of a sudden, Pittsburgh here this season with very minimal changes to the personnel find themselves in a really, really nice position where not only do they score at a pretty nice rate, but they're also able to play very good defensively. And I think that is the Penguins team that we have been looking for over the past couple of years. And here you are. You're finding a successful team that can win games. And like I said, you're seeing some of the young guys. They aren't putting up all these monster points, but you're seeing guys like Drew O'Connor, Mark Friedman coming in, putting up points when they need to come in and play. So that is definitely something that, again, you're not really considering who is really getting it done. Surprisingly, it's been Evan Rodriguez, which I think Penguins fans and I think fans across the entire league are a little bit shocked by. But yet, it does, at this point, when you lose some of those guys, you need somebody to step up in the top six, and he has completely done that. So like I said, you look at the standings right now, they find themselves in the first wild card position in the Eastern Conference. You look at the standings wise, Carolina leads the division with 43 points. They have 39 points. They are only 4 points back, so there is a 4-point gap between the Penguins in fourth place in their division and first place. And you look at everybody in between, you have the Capitals and the Rangers. They each have 43 and 42 points respectively. So they are right there. They are right on the brink. And give or take another 1 or 2, maybe 3 games against those 3 teams, they could find themselves very much a top 3 team in the Metro. And you look at the gap between Pittsburgh and the rest of the Eastern Conference behind them. In that first wild card is Pittsburgh, right, at 39 points. Detroit, who is right behind them, that second wild card spot, 6-point gap. There is a 9-point gap between the Penguins and the first team out of the playoffs, and that is the Boston Bruins with 30 points. So just to give you a perspective of how comfy things look in Pittsburgh right now, they're much more looking at nipping at the heels ahead of them than the ones behind them, and that is definitely a good thing considering, again, the fact that what I started this video with, without Malkin, without Crosby for a large portion to start the year, we didn't see him till the week after Halloween, Brian Rust being out for a month now, Jake Gensel being out for a month, and obviously Brian Boyle, but okay, and that's not a slight on Brian Boyle, but I think we know there's a clear gap between those other guys and him. But like I said, a lot of it has come down to the goaltending in Pittsburgh. And when you have Tristan Jarry second in the NHL with his goals against average at a 1.93, that is quite impressive. So, like I said, this hasn't been the President's Trophy teams that we saw in the mid-2010s, but this is a team that is going to kind of maybe throw people off guard, including myself, because I thought this was the year. I thought last year was the year Pittsburgh was going to fall off, and all these Penguins fans have been telling me they have Malkin and Crosby. You cannot bet against them, and for the second consecutive year, I've bet against them, and they've been proving me wrong, and I do have to give them credit for that. Again, Mike Sullivan has also done a very good job as the head coach here in terms of getting the most out of players like Evan Rodriguez to get this team where they need to be, meeting the expectations that they have to, and ultimately finding themselves in a pretty good spot going into the beginning of the not the second half of the season, but they're in a position where they can make the playoffs. And I think they give themselves, again, there isn't a lot of room in the Metro, but if they could win a couple of games, let's say they sweep one of those teams, either it's the Capitals or the Rangers or the Hurricanes, throughout the rest of the season, that could be the difference for them. Maybe, just maybe, not only getting in the playoffs, not even being in a wild card spot, potentially getting home ice advantage in the first round. That would definitely be interesting to watch for. So, guys, that is it for today's video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.